Right, setting the volume, and I have a few questions already that were emailed to me prior to this live stream. So I'll start with those, but I guess right over here, you just type in any questions you've got, and I will answer them or demonstrate them, whatever works best. All right, so one of the questions, and I get this a lot from beginner students, is how to play clean notes. Not clean as in a clean channel on the amp, but clean as in ringing out properly. And it's really simple to correct. And I'm talking students, 5 years old that don't have the strength that a teenager or an adult has. So if they could learn it, anybody can. A lot of problems that students have is the placement of their fingers, especially on the wider frets. When you get up here, they're all closer together. So it could be easier, but when you're back here to be able to play a run, I hear this a lot. And, beginner students, you could hear them struggling to play those notes. The problem is it's not the finger strength, it's the placement. If your finger's way too far back, it's going to require a lot of strength to squeeze that note down. If you squeeze, and notice too also where I have my thumb, it's in the middle, right behind the back of the neck. I don't have it coming over like this. You can build up strength and eventually you could play that way. But for now, for a beginner, you want it in back so that you're essentially just squeezing these fingers together, except you've got a guitar neck in between there. And while you're squeezing, you want the finger to be up close to the fret wire, not over it, because once it's over it, it won't ring out properly. So you want the finger up very close to that fret wire. That requires the least amount of strain, and it makes the note ring out better. And you could do that with all your other fingers as well. So one of my first lessons with any student is to have them play with all four fingers by the end of the first lesson. And it's not that hard once you know exactly what to do. So right now we're just starting with the first string, the thinnest string. And we are making sure that the fingers being squeezed in the direction of the thumb, right in back of the headstock there. So we're squeezing that and maybe exaggerating it as a beginner. Eventually you just get the touch to where it just comes natural. So the next step is to go up to the middle finger, or the bird finger, as Dimebag Darrell called it. And again, you just want it right behind that fret wire. not on it, because when you're on it, that's when it doesn't ring out properly. So you want it right behind, just back behind that fret wire. I'll use the clean channel for now. And then the third finger, same thing. Not on the fret, not back here in front of the second fret, but right behind the third fret. Okay, and then the fourth finger is the same thing, right behind the fourth fret. And you can move that, of course, to other strings as well. If you want to do a descending run, you start with the fourth fret, walk down, now go to the fourth fret of the second string, fourth fret of the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And then you could do it ascending from the sixth string. And if you look, the picking technique I'm using is alternate picking. Okay, so if I start with a downstroke, the next note's going to be an upstroke. And then down, then up. Even when changing strings. So let's see, I got a downstroke on my last note here. I'm going to do an upstroke on the fourth fret of the second string. Down, up, down, and we're looking at the picking hand right now. And then, so it's the last note was down, the next note's going to be up. Downstroke, upstroke, downstroke. Upstroke on the next string, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So as a beginner, I mean, you don't have any more than 4 fingers, I hope. If you can nail that at your first session, you're on the way to getting much better. The question here from JRG, are you getting a better guitar? Doesn't matter for beginners. It does, actually. You say, yeah, I bought a cheap guitar from Amazon, but I play notes better with one I tried at Guitar Center. Yeah, action can have a lot to do with it. The best guitar is going to be something that you're comfortable with playing and holding. And that's why buying online, I always tell people to have caution when doing that. If you know the guitar, you know the brand, then buying online could be okay if you're familiar with that guitar. But holding it in your hand is always going to be the best way to find something that plays well. And a better guitar, they come set up, right? In other words, like this one, I just got this off of Musician's Friend. It's the EVH Wolfgang Standard. And it's not a high dollar guitar. I mean, there's much more expensive, but around the $700-800 range, I believe. And this came totally set up. I mean, just great action all the way up and down. And I've seen some guitars that are very inexpensive, and I mean, you could use it for a bow and arrow. It's just the action is super high, and for a beginner, that makes it more difficult to play and to learn. So having a better guitar does matter for a beginner. If you've got a guitar that has really low action, it's going to be easier for you to play those notes and to play chords. Which brings me to the next question that I got in a message yesterday. Why is the F chord so difficult? Well, a lot of people, you start out with open chords or even power chords, which are just 2 notes, you know. There's an E5 power chord. You could add the octave. And what I'm doing for the E5 here is I'm playing the 6th string open on the 5th string 2nd fret. I got my finger right there, my index finger, and then on the 4th string 2nd fret, I got my middle finger. And I'm strumming 6, 5, and 4. So that's an E5. Now, to play an E major, what we're doing is we're changing the fingers up. You got to free up the index finger to get to an E major. So we're putting the middle finger on the 5th string 2nd fret. And I know the question was about an F chord. So I'm getting to that. First, I'm explaining the E chord and why the F chord is so difficult. So I've got the middle finger on the 5th string 2nd fret, the 3rd finger on the 4th string 2nd fret, That frees up my index to go on the 3rd string 1st fret. All right. And then strings 2 and 1 are open, no fingers. And if we do it in the other direction, starting with 1st string open, 2nd string open, 3rd string 1st fret with the index, 4th string 2nd fret with the ring finger, 5th string 2nd fret with the middle, and 6th string open. So there's your E major. Now the F is 1 fret up. It's the same exact structure, but 1 fret up. And what you have to do now is you have to free up this index finger. So you put the middle finger on the 3rd string 1st fret. The pinky goes to the 4th string 2nd fret. And the ring goes to the 5th string 2nd fret. Now, to move everything up, it doesn't sound right there. That would be, we want to play an F chord. So now we have to use this index finger to bar the 1st fret. So you're barring across all 6 strings. And that requires a lot of strength. Not a lot, but for a beginner, it seems impossible. So beginner F chords, you could fake it with a power chord, which you could do the two note power chord, an F5, 6th string 1st fret with the index, 5th string 3rd fret with the ring finger. All right, so if you're having a hard time playing the F, let's say you're doing a song that changes from E to F. Instead of playing that full F chord as a beginner, you're just going to play the E to an F5. And it's the bass note's there, so it's still moving along with the chord structure. You could also add the pinky. So you got now the pinky is on the 4th string 3rd fret. And if you recall when we started talking about the E5 chord, first we had a 2-note chord. Tune this up a little bit. Okay, so we had the E5, which was 6th string open and the 5th string 2nd fret. And then we have, when we move it up to the F5, we have to free up these other fingers because we now need the index for the 6th string 1st fret and the ring on the 5th string 3rd fret. So any chords that you learn open, when you move everything up 1 fret, you change the fingering. Now, once you get there, it just gets easier and easier. You just move that chord around. Same thing with the majors. Free up the index finger so you could do the bar chord with the F. There's an A major there. There's a G major, F major, E major. So the way to get around, if you want to play quicker, if you want to play in time, playing a song that goes to an F chord, if you're just starting out, this might not be an option, playing the full barred F chord. So you could go to the F5 with the octave note with the pinky, all right? Or you could do 4 strings by adding the middle finger to the 3rd string 2nd fret. Now, once you get used to that change, you could start adding the bar. 2nd string 1st fret bar, 1st string 1st fret bar. And another cheat would be to eliminate the 6th string and just bar strings 1 and 2 on the 1st fret. And if you want a higher range, higher pitched F chord, you could just do the first 3 strings, bar the 1st fret on strings 1 and 2, and then put the middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and just strum those 3 strings. It's still an F chord, but now it is a higher pitched F chord. Compared to the full notes, that is. Okay. And we had a question on how to build chords. The easy way around it is to take a major scale. Okay, so assuming you know your major scale, here's C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If you give those a numerical value, C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, C is 1 again. That's the octave. A chord is made up of the first, third, and fifth. So in the key of C, C major is 1, E is the third, G is the fifth. So we're building a C major chord by combining the notes, the scale notes of the first, third, and fifth. That's a C major scale or C major chord. And then there's octave notes. So C repeats itself on the second string, first fret, and E repeats itself on the first string open. It also repeats itself on the sixth string open. So you could literally hit all 6 strings for a C chord there. And you can add the other notes. For example, on the first string, third fret, you could add your pinky because that's a G note right there. So whether I play it this way or this way, it's still a C chord. You can also add the sixth string, third fret, and I'm moving my ring finger up to that, so I got my pinky available to play the fifth string, third fret C. All right, so this would be a C/G because we're putting a G note in there. If it's C, in this case, G, it would be a C/G by adding that lower G note. And let's see, how about a C6? Well, remember the sixth note in the scale is A, C, D, E, F, G, A. So now we're going to change the fingering around. We've got C on the fifth string, third fret, E on the fourth string, second fret, A on the third string, second fret, C on the first string, or second string, first fret, and the first string's open. So now we got a C6 by adding that A note right there. All right, so that's where the numbers come in. A C7 would obviously, well, C major 7 would be adding the B note. So what we could do here is simply lift this second string, first fret note and expose the second string open, and there's your C major 7. So when you see chords with numbers, that's how they're derived from the scale. Then there's also major chords, and I'm not going to get into that today, but basically it is the same concept. So if you got a minor scale, A minor, for example, that is, you take the first, third, and fifth of that. And so the first is an A, the third is a C, and the fifth is an E. So A is on the fifth string open. You got an E on the fourth string, second fret, another A on the third string, second fret, and a C on the second string, first fret. And the first string open is E. So there's an A minor. And I guess we went this far, might as well get into the difference between major and minor. A minor third is 3 frets up from the root. So we got A, B, and C. Major third is 4 frets up from the root. So now if we apply that to A, we've got A, B, and C sharp. So that's the difference. A minor third is 3 frets up, and a major third A major third is 4 frets up. So that's a C sharp. So since we looked into the A minor earlier, the C is what makes it an A minor chord. It's a minor third. Now remember that was 3 frets up is the minor third, 4 frets up from the root, from the open A string is the major third. It's a C sharp. So to play a major chord, we're going to move this C note up to the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. Boom. Now it sounds brighter. You got the mellow A minor chord, mellow sound, and then boom, you got the A major. So it's just 1 fret difference between major and minor. We have, what's the best way to practice if you want to play fast? I would say, are you referring to speed wise, playing faster notes, or to just learn quicker? I guess I could address both. Speed, okay. Speed is, it's timing, because you want it to be, you don't want it to sound sloppy. You want it to sound enjoyable to yourself and the listener. So it's about timing. So a metronome is the best way. And you can find them on an app for the phone. You can buy, a lot of tuners come with a built-in metronome, and it just clicks in time. So you take the tempo that you're comfortable with. And for example, you set the tempo to maybe 100 beats per minute. I don't have a metronome handy, but let's just count it out. It's tick, 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 tick. So you take that tick and you practice your scale run, hitting each note with the tick. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's say you could do that 10 times in a row without a problem. Move it up. If we started at 100 beats per minute, let's move it up to 110. Then 120. I can't do it today. So you get a nice, you gradually increase it, and you get to the point where you can play clear notes faster. That's the quickest way you're going to get there. Guitar in hand and pushing your limits. Now, let's say we're learning a song that is 120 beats per minute, and you are having a problem with this area of the solo. What you could do is take that little section. Let me find an example here. Let's do Sultans of Swing. That little run right there. If playing it in time with the song is difficult, you could slow down your metronome, and you could even get there's a couple apps out there that allow you to slow down MP3s, and you can basically play along with that MP3 at a slower pace that's comfortable for you. So let's say the song is 120 beats per minute. Start at 90. If you can't do that, go down to 80. There's some songs that I cut down in half speed just so I could get the proper fingering, the proper timing. And then I'll up it. Maybe that was 60 BPM. I'll up it to 65 BPM and practice it until I get up to the tempo that the song is at. Once I get up to that tempo, I'll push it even further. Stevie Ray Vaughan, I was learning Pride and Joy, and I really wanted to do it note for note. So that song, it took me about a week to woodshed on that one, but I slowed it down considerably, got the notes perfect, and then increased the speed. And I think the song, the tempo might have been 108 beats per minute. And when I finally got up to 108, I kept pushing it, 109, 110, went up to 120, so that I'm playing it faster than Stevie Ray Vaughan in practice. And then we backed it up, or he went back to the original tempo for playing live with the band, and just got a lot of props for nailing that song note for note. Another question. Yeah, practice song in pieces to build up speed. Yeah, you don't think that you have to learn the entire song in one sitting. You take what you can, learn what you can. And the problem areas, you just consolidate those into a short practice session and practice those notes over and over again. Earlier, we talked about the F chord being difficult for beginners. So when you're learning a new chord that's difficult, what I have my students do is take every chord they already know and play that new chord in between. So let's say you know E, G, A minor, C, D. The new chord is F. That's the one giving us trouble. So in your practice, and this is even if you're watching TV or YouTube videos, you could just sit there and make sure you got the fingering down. You go from E to F, then back to E. The next one is G. You know the G chord already. So play your G, go to F that's giving you the problem, make sure all the fingers are in place, make sure everything rings out, and then back to G. A minor to F, A minor, C to F to C. What do we do next? D to F to D. And the other thing for changing chords is you want optimal finger movement. So you can map it out and literally spend a little bit of time. All right, you know where your fingers are for the E chord. So where does this index finger have to go to play F? It has to move from this third string first fret note of the E chord to a bar on the first fret, all 6 strings. Next, for the F, where does this middle finger have to go? After you bar that, the middle finger has to go to the third string second fret. The third finger has to go to the 5th string third fret. The pinky has to go to the 4th string third fret. So you map out each finger in the change and where they're going to, and it just helps you in your mind direct those fingers. And eventually it becomes second nature. You don't even think about it. Yeah, so that's a good exercise right there, is when you're learning a new chord, take all the other chords and just put them in order, but throw that new chord in between each one. E minor, F, G, F, A minor, F, E minor, F, C, F, because F is our new chord. It's the one giving us trouble. So we're going to go ahead and overdo the F until it becomes second nature. Another question that I get a lot is how to sing and play at the same time. And the best way, let's say you've got a song that has a lot of strumming going on or finger picking. Let's take like Hotel California, for example. Now, to start singing that song and play all those notes, if you're a beginner just starting out, that is going to be difficult. So the best way to do it is just, let's say you're just sitting down to learn your first song to sing and play. Strum just the chord by itself on the 1 count, or when the chord comes in. and sing over that. On a dark desert highway. Next it goes to E. Cool wind in my hair. You could practice just that short section over and over again. And eventually, you put a little rhythm to it. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair. Won't smell like eucalyptus. But for starters, just start out with just the chord. And then build up. If you are having a problem, if you want to get to the point where you're finger picking or strumming a certain rhythm pattern, start with strumming on the 1 and 3 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair. Eventually get to 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair. And from there, you just build up to where you're getting. Thank you very much about that. I appreciate it. Build up to where you get to the rhythm that you want to play. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair. Won't smell like eucalyptus, guzzling up through the air. Up ahead in the distance, there's our F chord. Saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my side grew dim. I had to stop for the night. So start out slow, build up. It's enjoyable and it's rewarding. You want to play guitar, you want to sing, get at it. Have a microphone in front of you any chance you get. All right, what's your way to play on different strings? Do I use pick slanting? Yeah, you could pick fast on one string. That's usually the case. So when you try to go up to a different string, I think you're saying is that's what it sounds bad. Well, let's see. Let's take a descending run. Just G, F, E on the first string. That's 3, 1 open, and then the same frets on the second string. 3, 1 open, which is D, C, and B. G, F, E, D, C, B. So what I'm doing here to change the string, get closer up to the picking. So the first 3 notes, I'm going to start with the down pick, then an upstroke on the first fret, then a downstroke on the first string open. Now, because that was a downstroke, the next one, our next target is the second string 3rd fret. So with that finger in place, you just had a downstroke on the first string open. Next note is going to be an upstroke on the target note, the second string 3rd fret, D note. So we got those 4 notes. Let's just make that a practice run, just 4 notes. Picking down, and up on the second string. Do that over and over again until it's second nature. And then add the next note, which is C. So now we're down, up, down on C. And an exercise that I would make out of that would be you're welcome. And thank you. Thanks for joining us today. An exercise I would add to that is all 6 notes in descending, down, up, down, then the second string up, down, up. And now ascend, down, up, down, up, down, up. Just take those 6 notes over and over again and drill them into your mind and into your muscle memory on your hands. And another thing you could do is double pick each note, where you're just picking down, up on each note. And another technique is you can do all downstrokes all upstrokes. And that's just to coordinate your mind to your hand movements. Ultimately, what you want to do to get the fastest fluent sound is always alternate. And another trick is for playing fast or sounding fast is hammer-ons. You pick the first note of a string. In this case, we'll start on the second string open. You're going to just pick that note. You're going to hammer to the first fret. So you're not picking the first fret. You're just taking that index finger and slamming it down. It's like you're squeezing the thumb and index together. You're slamming it down on the first fret of the second string. So pick the second string open, hammer to the first fret, and then your third finger hammers to the third fret. A little overdrive on that. Now, once you get the hang of that, you're going to go to the next string. So you had a downstroke on the second string open. That's the only note you picked on the second string. You're hammering the other notes. Because that was a downstroke on the second string open, you're going to have an upstroke on the first string open, and then hammer to the first fret and third fret. Do it in time with a metronome. Speed up the metronome. But remember, you're still alternating your picking, even though you've got the hammer-ons going on in between. The first note is a downstroke. The next one is an upstroke. And when you learn some, some full scales, all 6 strings, you get some nice scale runs. Then adding pull-offs to go in reverse. So we got the hammer-ons. Let's do all fretted. We've got a run from the B note on the 5th string, 2nd fret. Pull-offs would be the opposite. You pick the highest fretted note once, pull off to the next note, pull off to the next note. What I did there is what was that? That was a 2-string run. So you take the notes from the 5th string and go to the notes on the 4th string. Repeat the notes on the 4th string, go to the 3rd. Repeat the 3rd, go to the 2nd. And some really good lessons for playing fast, especially scale runs and lead, are on my Total Scales, Techniques, and Applications video, which I'll put the link down below later. Almost all of my DVDs are now on YouTube, and if not, they're going to be up really soon. But I'll remember to put the link later in the description. So just come back to this, and or you could go to my channel and just type in Total Scales, Techniques, and Applications. There's a bass guitar version and a guitar version, but it gives you a ton. It takes every scale basically and applies it to the entire neck. So for you beginners are not out there, believe it or not, like a C scale can be played all up and down the neck, and it just gives you a ton of options, starting basically with every note in the scale. You've got a scale run that you could play anywhere on the fretboard. Here's the C scale up high on the fretboard on the 8th fret versus the open position. And what Total Scales does, and like I said, that is here on YouTube. It is, you'll take a scale like that and have different exercises to make them sound melodic. Let me go back up here to this position. So to make it more melodic, we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. What if we did increments of 2? Instead of playing straight through C to C, now what we're going to do is play C to D, D to E, E to F, F to G, G to A, A to B, B to C. That's increments of 2. And you're practicing your alternate picking techniques. Now I'm putting a little break in there. You could do it all consecutively at one tempo. Now you got increments of 3. So we're going to play C, D, and E, D, E, F, E, F, G, F, G, A, G, A, B, A, B, C, and back. There it gives it, boom, a whole different feel. We're using the same notes, but now we've got a intense classical feel. So you take something like that, find your comfort zone, whatever tempo that is, and put it on the metronome. If you could, I used to do 10 in a row. That was my goal. If I could do 10 in a row, boom, I'd increase the tempo on the metronome. And I was kind of brutal to myself. If I got to number 9 and I flubbed it up, I'd make myself start over. But that was just me. I don't recommend that torture unless you need that kind of discipline in your life. I'll show you a couple more. Well, increments of 3, here's another way to make it sound quicker is to use hammer-ons. All right, so remember, we're playing 3 notes at a time, starting with C, D, E, D, E, F, E, F, G, F, G, A, G, A, B, A, B, C. To do that with hammer-ons, you start with the C, and you play the first note. We're going to do a downstroke on C, hammer to D, hammer to E. The next note would be D. We're going to pick an upstroke, hammer to E, and then a downstroke on the F. Now you could just take those 6 notes, and there is your exercise for switching strings to get that to sound smoother. You're picking down, hammer, hammer, up on D, hammer to E, and then down on F. So you're drilling in that alternate picking while learning to change strings. And then to increase that, you could go to the next scale note. And just keep going until you're doing all scale notes. And then in reverse would be the pull-offs, where you're picking the higher pitch note, pulling to the next scale note, pulling to the next scale note. And there's a lot more. There's increments of 3 works good in a 3/4 tempo. Now there's ways to put it into the 4/4 as well, but we won't go there just yet. Now increments of 4 obviously works well with the 4/4 tempo. So here you've got the first 4 scale notes: C, D, E, F. Next note is D, E, F, G, E, F, G, A. Increments of 4. So that's how to get a lot out of your scale runs. Increments of 4 and back 1 note. Now that really makes it sound a little bit faster and fluent because you're just constantly moving. Let's see. And then you could get really fun with it. You could skip strings. So here, I'm going to start on the 6th string, skip into the 4th string. Then back to the, now it's starting the fifth string, skipping to the third. Whoops. So it's just really cool exercises. And, you know, basically you want to push yourself when you're practicing. And when you play live or you're playing in front of people, you don't want to push yourself. You want to hold yourself back and play what's comfortable for you. So if you're, for example, I mean, I perform 5 shows a week right now. And if I'm learning a song, obviously I'm not going to go out and perform that song that I'm learning. You know, I'm going to keep it to the songs that I'm familiar with. Once I prove to myself that I can play a song, then I'll do it, you know? Um, so in your practice sessions, always push yourself. And I'm reading what you mentioned here to organize your practice sessions. Yeah. And just keep track of, uh, let's say you're learning a scale run or you're learning a song, a guitar solo. Keep track of where you're comfortable at. Make a note or record a note to yourself. Okay, I'm playing Sultans of Swing at 80 BPM. The song is at 120 BPM. Well, every time you practice, try to push yourself closer to that 120. And that way you just get the most out of your practice sessions. Well, any more questions from you guys? I really do. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Cup of coffee, yes, indeed. If not, I'm going to do this again next week. I have a late show on Friday night, so next week I'm going to do this at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and from there, I'm going to give it about a month of every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time and see how it goes. So I'll keep doing it if it is indeed a help to people and it grows. You can find me here. Just today was 10 a.m. Just keep in mind next week will be 1 p.m. Eastern time. I thank you all so very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. You have a great day too.